There are a lot of renditions of the historical 4X strategy game on the market today, but one of the most innovative ones that I've ever played is Era: History Untold. This is a game that subverted my expectations in a lot of ways, offering a truly unique approach to economic management and map exploration and even age progression. We're coming back to this game now, a few months after release, because Era has just received its first DLC and several quality of life improvements. I'm going to show you what all of that is about today. Before we get started, I want to say a big thank you to Stardock Entertainment for sponsoring today's video. You can find a link in the description down below if you would like to learn more about Era: History Untold and its DLC. So without any further ado, let's get started. You'll notice there is this new scenarios option under single player, and that's what we're looking for. As a reminder, the way that Era usually works is a typical game is broken up into multiple acts, which represents a period of time, and at the end of that, you take a tally of everyone's prestige, the worst performing characters are removed from the game, the rest move on to the next era, and so on and so forth until someone comes out on top. And a time period could be from, let's say, the Stone Age to the Iron Age, right? That would be one act. Think about these scenarios as one self-contained act across multiple different time periods, offering a what-if or alternative history scenario with a set roster of characters, a special map, and special events to give it extra flavor. So as an example here, I'm looking at the American expansion. We could play as the United States or Canada or some of these native tribes and determine the future of the North American continent. Or we could play with the Mongol invasion, either as the Mongols or the Russians fending off the Mongols. And there's also some special maps like, let's say, a realistic Terra map, and you can play as pretty much anyone. So we've got our Earth mode, which is pretty cool. I'm going to play with the Bronze Age collapse, because as fun as some of the later eras are, if you're not initiated in Era, I think you're going to get overwhelmed. There is a lot in this game, so many goods and production chains to worry about. This at least will be a little bit more manageable, and as you get used to it, you can play some of the others and have fun with those instead. So for this scenario, the early empires around the Mediterranean are growing weaker, the tribes are getting more aggressive. So I'm expecting a lot of barbarian activity on this map. We could play as the Assyrians, the Greeks, the Egyptians, or the Persian Empire. And then there's going to be some special events down here as far as raids and the emergence of the Sea People. I think we're going to play as the Assyrians. Not only does this character have some traits that make him pretty decent in the military game, but we've also got a bonus to building production and crafting production, which can be very, very useful. To me, production is king, so I think he's a good choice. So let's go ahead and get started and see how well we fare. Now, in these scenarios, the map is always going to be the same, your starting location is always going to be the same. The only thing that will change are some of, let's say, the wild animals or the resource caches around you. Otherwise, it's a fairly consistent experience. In this case, our capital city of Ashur already appears to have a couple of regions claimed, which could be quite nice. We've got a workshop and a stone pit, we've got a farm, a great hearth, a lot of useful stuff. We even have some military units right off the bat. A line of some spearmen and slingers, a war chariot, and a scout. So we've got a bit of a head start. That's awesome. I also see we have some nearby wheat, some goats, and some copper. Everything a new civilization needs. Let's start by pulling up the first event of this scenario. So we can see here that as the leader of the Assyrians, we are responsible for ensuring our nation survives for another 1,000 years. To win, our goal is to get, I think, 10,000 prestige before anyone else does. And to help with that, this event will get me a little bit of extra prestige per city and per land unit for the first 50 turns. So that'll kickstart things a little bit. Now, if you don't remember how this game works, the map is divided up into various different regions, and within each of these regions are a set number of zones where I can place down some special buildings or other tile improvements to extract resources. The basic resources are up here in the top left. We've got some food, some wealth, some timber, and materials, and all of that is great. You want a lot of it, but ultimately you want to take these goods and turn them into better refined goods or amenities, because those are what's going to really boost up your economy. So for example, if we go here to the Great Hearth, we are currently producing a feast using some of our food and our wealth to speed things along. I actually don't want to use my food. I'd rather save that for some early settlers. So let's just go ahead and use some wealth, and we'll make sure we produce one every 2 turns. If we get a feast, I can plug it in as an amenity for our city, which is going to get me extra food, growth, and happiness. Obviously very useful. Happiness, mostly because it's going to boost up your production. In fact, all these quality of life modifiers are very important and easily overlooked, but boosting them up is really, really good. So if we get a little bit more happiness, for example, we'd have 20% more city production, which is awesome in a game where production is still king. Health gives me city growth, knowledge gives me more science, prosperity gives me more tax income, and as the Assyrians, we start off with very high security, which is boosting up the strength of my forces by 40%. Not half bad. To start, though, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up another scout because I'd like to explore the map as quickly as possible, especially to get some of these resource caches. Getting some of these early on is very helpful. I will also send my war chariot out to start exploring some of the nearby regions since it is a fast-moving cavalry unit, and I'll use my line infantry to go start clearing out some of the nearby wild animals, which is going to get me a little bit of extra food, some leathers and furs, but also just generally clear out some territory so I can expand and build more stuff. Is there anything else I want to do on my first turn? We can't really change up our government. We don't have a religion yet. No, I think that's it for the first turn. Let's just go ahead and move on. So technologies are unlocked now. What do we want to get first? Great question. We could go for some early trading, which might be useful. Sales, cloth making, burial rites, masonry. Leatherworking is quite good. Sandals can be used to get you extra city production with amenities. It's very, very useful to have. I think I'll start by getting legalism, though. I'd love to get my monarchy up and running so I can get away from my petty chiefdoms. I'm a more advanced civilization than that, I'll have you know. And I'm going to be kind of bold here and just spend some of my early wealth to just rush out this scout, save myself 6 turns, so we can start gathering up some of these equipment and resource caches a little bit faster. Case in point, this first cache got me some incense, candles, and gems. Okay. Those are mostly going to be accelerants for things, but for example, simply by finding a candle, what we just did is plug this automatically into our Great Hearth, and I just got 3 more city knowledge. Not enough to get myself up to the next tier, but get enough candles in enough places, and yeah, it could be pretty good. Supplies are easily overlooked in this game because you think of them as something like, hey, I'm consuming metal tools per turn, right? No, simply by having 1 metal tool and plugging it into this, I would get 50% extra craft production and 100% more harvest production on this improvement. That could be pretty darn useful. So you want to get as many of these little goods here that you can get. They're awesome. If I want to start making some jewelry now, I could, by the way, as another amenity, and that would get me prosperity and happiness. And since I did find things like some precious stones, it actually would be pretty quick. But that's not a top priority for me now. Let's just go ahead and start producing some more of these feasts. I need 1 every 5 turns at a minimum. What else makes sense to build in here right now? We could go for a logging camp, just start getting a lot of timber. That would give me some options later, for sure. But if I got myself another workshop, we could start producing a lot of useful goods. Might be better to build a second one of these early on, and I will. Okay, we found some useful resources up here. There's more wheat, there's some goats, sheep, deer. There's a pretty good settling location up over here somewhere. If we can explore a bit more of this region, this might make for a great second city location. Oh, but we have already found some barbarians wandering around. Okay, these guys are going to be aggressive. We need to avoid them for at least a little bit. So with that extra workshop, we can start getting some additional goods in just a minute. What else do I think I need? We haven't grown for at least another couple of turns. Do I want to go ahead and start working immediately on a settler? Yes, I think that I do. It's going to take me a little bit, and we can always move around our queue and do different things if we need to, but having another settler to place down a second city early is going to be a huge advantage. We want to rapid expand. Now with this workshop, what do we want to produce? Well, I think we're already producing lithic tools over here. We could speed this along using some materials, and I think that's worth it. I'll get a couple of them. Because if I place some lithic tools in my workshop, we can boost up our crafting and harvesting production a little bit more on 2 different workshops. So building this at least twice would be great. In fact, I'll want to build a total of 7, so I can build a wonder later. And then over here, let's go ahead and queue up 10 ropes. Maybe 12, actually, because I can use these in other places as well. Sure, that seems great. Spend more timber, spend more materials, get 1 every 2 turns. That's acceptable for the moment. Okay, we have our code of laws. So what do we want to get next? Good question. Furnishings? Extra city production as a supply would be very useful. Yeah, I'd like to have this. I mean, think about it real quick. Our city right now has 12 overall production, right? If I were to go to any of my residences and just place down some extra furniture here and boost that up, like that's not an insignificant boost. A little bit more makes a big difference. Anyway, let's go ahead and change up our government. So now we have monarchies available. This boosts my city cap up from 4 to 5. We get extra security and prosperity in the capital. We can have tax rates, and if they're low, we get a little bit of extra happiness and research and growth, which is nice. Boost up a bit more and you lose production, so I prefer prefer the low tax rates if we can, and we can set a policy. I don't have a palace, so this won't help me yet, though it's very good otherwise. We don't need city siege defense, so I guess I'll just take the 20 knowledge, and we'll just get extra science. Yeah, do it. We have our first claim. So as you grow in size, your city is going to be able to claim some of these territories. First priority is almost always going to be the wheat. If you have a source of grain, this is going to be very good. It's going to speed up your growth tremendously. So we'll claim this as of next turn. Oh, and we found a tribe over here. The New Eason tribe. These guys are going to be aggressive right off the bat. In fact, I think every tribe in this map is aggressive. So we're going to be fighting them off a lot. Yeah, we need to start training up some more military units pretty early in this game, I think. Because this scenario is just going to have me under attack all the time. For our next technology, let's go for tributary administration. This is unique to this scenario, so there are special unique technologies. Building this gets me 20 extra wealth per turn, which is great, not to mention a little bit of prestige, and 10 prosperity in all cities if built in a city other than the capital. So I will want to build this probably elsewhere as well. The Persians want open borders. I don't see any harm to that. Generally speaking, in this game, I actually think it's worth trying to be friendly with your neighbors if you can. It's not always an option, but if you can, trade is very, very powerful. And I've already got enough problems with these tribes. We should be banding together. Yep, he also wants a trade agreement. Perfect. All right, that's exactly what I was talking about. Let's do it. Okay, we got ourselves our farm, so this means now we're producing grains. So I'm going to use my opportunity to place down a granary over here as soon as I have any grains built up. Actually, we can do that now, because that's going to boost up our food yield by 50%, so even more grain. And we can start creating those grain stores, which I was using earlier. That's also worth a lot of food and some city growth. Okay, the city up over here has been founded. Oh my god, it was right next to a tribe. I had no idea. Uh-oh. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. Let's go ahead and activate another one of my feasts over here. So now every 5 turns, this will be used up, but we get that extra city food growth and so on. Our first paragon is available, though. That'll be nice. All right. Do we want to have an engineer who could get me some build production in all cities? Maybe extra production towards getting a wonder or a triumph? That's not bad. Military improvements, more damage and stuff. That's not bad here. An advisor that could get me extra happiness and prosperity in all cities could be very useful. Or there's a strategist for extra military strength. I'm going to go for the engineer. You can move these great people between various different advisory roles, or you can use them to start producing masterpieces, which is a way of getting a lot of prestige, but it's not my top priority, not yet. Now, it looks like I've somehow shot all the way up to number 1 in prestige. Do not get too comfortable with this. It's not gonna last. The players will be moving around in their prestige quite a lot based on what they are doing. Different characters have different personalities and different strengths and weaknesses. In my case, I'm fighting a bit, so that helps. Can we build a triumph, though? I could build Stonehenge. Stonehenge would give me extra knowledge and security, which is very strong. I mean, if I can get that extra 25% knowledge, that should get me up to, what, like an extra 80% science in the city? That's solid. I think it'd be worth it. Now, if you place down a triumph, it takes up all of the zones in a region, which is why, generally speaking, you want to save it for a territory that doesn't have very many zones. This one only has 2, so it's practically a throwaway anyway. I can't really specialize my districts. We might as well just place this here. Another claim for our new city. Okay, what do I want? Probably to start working toward the grain over here as well, right? I mean, the goats are nice and all, but I think this is the right call. You do, by the way, gather all of the resources in a region, even if you haven't built anything. So by simply expanding over here, we get some extra food, we get some extra materials. The reason this matters, though, is on territories with, let's say, a lot of food on it, getting buildings that multiply that by, let's say, doubling it. So 3 food becomes 6, that's pretty good. Better to place food buildings on a food-specific region, as opposed to, let's say, some timber up over here, or materials elsewhere. It's very intuitive when you think about it. Oh, and the sea peoples have emerged. They're extra bold and vicious. Cool. So extra prestige as long as we are in combat. Sure, we're doing that now. So extra prestige is nice. Oh, notice, by the way, I've fallen all the way back down to 4th place. I told you it would fluctuate a lot. Well, we dealt with these guys. Let's pillage the village. The Stonehenge is complete. So that's nice. Glorious for our capital. And now I've shot back up into 1st place. Thank you, Stonehenge. What is going on with my feast production? We're getting not enough anymore. Okay, so just the food here is not enough for us. Boost this up by 50. We're out. Let's temporarily start making use of grain stores instead. And then with our extra slots, I don't really need Code of Laws. I think we'll just go for the baskets. The extra prosperity and extra production is very strong. And a golden age has begun. More prestige, which means I should probably go and fight things quickly. We're chunking through our research right now, by the way. So I could abandon the remaining Bronze Age techs and move on into the Iron Age with ironworking tech. Tempting, very tempting. But since I do have sheep, I probably can start making things like cloth. So I think cloth making would actually be very good for me to have. Do I want sailing, though? This is the big question. The Colossus docks trireme? I don't think so. Because I don't know. Am I going to expand in this direction? I mean, I could. There's some fish and stuff. Maybe a coastal expansion would be a good idea. I don't know. I'm pretty far ahead in science. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. I'm just going to finish out a lot of the techs, honestly. I probably don't need to, but I'm going to. Religions are now available, though. Let's see what we can do for ourselves here. So there's a lot of religions in the game, which is pretty awesome. We'll pick up Vedism, sure. And then over time, as we gather up followers, our religion is going to start adding in new religious verses or tenets. And it's random what we're going to get. So every religion in this game ends up being very different. You never know what's going to happen, but some of the bonuses are very good. Case in point, we have our first one. Door-to-door, available merchants? Yeah, not bad. Spread distance in cities. Warrioriness. I mean, I like the idea of the merchants quite a lot. Merchants are a little bit harder to get, but they're very strong. They can get me more goods. Do it. So what resources does Persia have to offer me? They've got horses. Horses are really nice. We could use those to get better plows. We could get carriages, which is worth a lot of city growth. Yeah. We've also got bread for health and food. That's also a lot of extra growth. Cured meats, blah, blah, blah. I feel like going for the horses would be great. And I've still got some more merchants available. So, I mean, like, sure. We'll load up on some wool, meat, and bread. Done. Another paragon available for us. More strength could be good. Knowledge in cities, growth in all cities. Extra speed for scouts and settlers. You know, that actually could have been useful earlier, for sure. I think I'm going to go for Sun Tzu, because I don't have quite enough military forces, and I know I'm going to need this. So let's go ahead and start training up some of those units now. I'm going to want probably another couple of skirmishers and some slingers, I think. So we'll go ahead and queue those all up. A new era hath been achieved. So we abandoned no technologies. Probably could have done that, should have done that, but didn't. Moved on to the new techs. So with a new era, we have a lot of other fun stuff we can look at here. Coinage for mints and more coin production could be very useful. We're starting to generate a little bit of money now, so what else would make sense? Monument building, get myself a monument up and running, extra happiness, that's worth production. So this seems really good to me. Let's go ahead and pick that up. Weaver's done over here. With this, I should probably start producing some fabric. And with fabric, I'll eventually be able to start making some tunics, which is worth some city prosperity, or I could get some bandages for health. That's growth. And we're producing lots of wool. No reason not to do this. Oh, also we finished training up all of our units. So what we can do is now go to our reserves. And the way this game works is you can deploy your units as just single standalone units, but they're not going to be very strong that way. It's usually better to go ahead and create, let's say, a battalion or something along those lines. And we can change up what tactics we want to use. So let's say a line formation like we already have. 2 skirmishers, slingers, done. It'll take 4 turns to deploy. So be warned, if you are in the middle of a war and someone comes and sieges your city and you haven't deployed any forces, that's just it. You're dead. Either way, I think having an extra strike force could be very useful right now. Oh, good timing to come back home. Looks like some barbarians just ran straight into my territory. Yeah, we gotta clear these tribes out over here too. I'm systematically clearing them out. I do think expanding another city up over here would be great. I mean, we have some barley, we have grapes, we've got goats, it's close to the coast, there's gonna be some shellfish, which we can use for precious stones to make a lot of money. So this could become a very good economic city to get lots of materials and gold. And as long as we're producing enough grain stores elsewhere, we can use that to help it grow. Basically, don't underestimate the value of having lots of specialized regions. Not just specialized cities, but specialized regions. You want all of your industry in one nice area. You want a lot of your cultural buildings in one area, lots of economic buildings in one, and so on. Use the resources around you with all the different building slots and stack up those modifiers. I've also got an expert. I forgot about this. We can assign this somewhere. Hold on, let's take a look at some zones. So if I assigned an expert, for example, to my Great Hearth, we could get 150% crafting production. That's basically infinite feasts. Kind of appealing, not strictly necessary. What else we got? City security at the shrine, no thank you. Better workshops? There actually might be something to be said about placing the expert in the mines or something instead. Get a lot of extra copper, also an extra city build production. Sure. Every once in a while, by the way, it is worth coming through here to your improvements. Just do this drop down. You can see a very quick UI that'll let you look through all these different buildings and see if there are any improvements that you're missing that maybe you'd like to get. So for example, I know that I've actually got enough rope and enough tools going around that's making things pretty effective. Though if I got myself some metal tools, which I'm currently working toward, that would be even better. But I am missing, let's say, some plows. Some more of those would be helpful. We have a palace now in our capital city. Would it be worth getting rid of some of the knowledge in order to boost up all of our quality of life stats? Yes, I think that would be the case. So we're now at 100 happiness, so that is 100% extra city production. That's huge. Our growth has gone up a bit. We only lost a little bit of knowledge, so not a huge deal. Prosperity and so on. Oh yeah, the city is cooking now. Let's get a water well next. This boosts up my city health, plus we get even more production from farms, so this pairs up nicely over here. That extra bit of growth is huge. 10 more health is 25% more city growth. Like, it's almost exponential how some of this stuff grows. And I've also now got a bakery, which means we can start producing bread. And since I should have lots of grain being produced, this means I can get a lot of bread, and this is an even better amenity. Well, I say better. I mean, a 10 extra health, if it's 25% growth, is pretty darn good. One thing they added into the game, by the way, that I really like, because this did not exist on release, the ability to reform your forces. So it used to be if you trained a unit and then made them like into a little battalion and sent them out into the world, that was it. You could never reorganize your military forces. Now you can. So for example, these war chariots really don't need to be running around on their own. It might make sense to go ahead and send them back to our reserves, and later on when I train up some more units, we can reorganize them into something more efficient. Great change. Another paragon. What would make sense here? Another engineer. Religious advisor, musicians for masterpieces. I mean, we do need to start getting as much prestige as possible. We're almost halfway through the scenario. I'm kind of tempted to say that this could make sense. Yeah, I want to try making some masterpieces. Let's go ahead and create another battalion using my skirmisher chariots and our skirmishers. Deploy those. And I always want to deploy in my capital because I have 100 of my city security. So as long as they are deployed from a city with the highest security, that's as strong as my forces are going to be. If I deployed them elsewhere over here, sure, they'd show up on the front lines, but they'd be a lot weaker. So it's dynamic. It's always worth having very high production cities that are training up units, and then having a very high security city, and they're all deployed from there, so you get the most value out of your military. Oh, I haven't built any roads yet. Oh, I'm dumb. We should be building roads, connect the city up to some of our other cities and stuff like that. Yeah, it takes a lot of materials and takes some time. Worth it, though, I think, just for the mobility, if nothing else. New era has been achieved. All right, moving on to antiquities. This would be the end of Act 1 under normal circumstances, so I don't think we're going to be able to progress further than this. A republic as a new government form. We'd lose out on some city cap. I don't know. Potentially get lots of paragons, basically. Focus on the great people. I don't think that's quite what I'm looking for, though. I do know that the mill is very, very good for us. Place this in an industrial region, you get so much craft production. It's excellent if you want to get a lot of grain stores. And as far as that masterpiece, what did we end up creating? Well, looks like we have made Samaveda. Nice, more prestige. Speaking of more prestige, should I build the Great Pyramids for fun? Sure, why not? I am apparently, by the way, unable to grow this city, and I'm not totally sure why. It says that we're not getting any population. Why not? There's probably a very good reason, and I'm just too inexperienced to figure it out. I'm a big dum-dum, did you know? Maybe we can force the issue by getting some carriages up and running now that I have a stable. 10% city production, 100 city growth, pretty good. The only downside is going to be the city health going down, but, I mean, that seems acceptable to me. Found Persia, by the way. Here they are, way down over here. That's not even that far away. I could kill you. I could kill you so dead. Oh, you wanted an alliance? No. There's one way to get a lot of prestige. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be taking everyone else's stuff. Besides, I don't have any other tribes people to kill or anything. I'm getting bored. I'm gonna demand some stuff from the Persians. They trust me. That's a mistake. But if I can take some stuff from them, I don't know, that'd be great. And if they give up, well, then fine. Our relations go down so I can declare war on you. See? He said no. All right, so our relations decline. That was to be expected. I don't really want to slander you, though. Losing a bunch of prestige doesn't seem like a great idea. Gonna break our trade agreement. That should make them angry. You ready for a war? I think so. A simple skirmish, I suppose, we'll have to do. Yeah. They're allied to Egypt. That'll get annoying. Still, I think it's worth it. Go ahead. All right, so this city looks pretty easy to take. Let's just go ahead and lay siege. Oh, Egypt, you would like an alliance? You know what? Fine. We'll accept your alliance. It's probably not going to matter in a second, but we'll accept it. Maybe you won't join the war. They accepted. Oh, that's hilarious. So you're not going to join the war then? Nice. So we're currently laying siege to Mudreya over here. So give it a few more turns and this city will be mine. Should have defended your base. That's all I'm saying. There we go. City is mine. Wasn't even hard. Haha. Do I keep the city? Yeah, I don't see why not. Now we just gotta hold on to this for another 20 turns or so. Seems fine. Terrible city, though. What is this nonsense? Why did you build a granary over here when there's no farms? You fool. Finally, we can grow the city. Oh my god. Thank you, carriages. You are amazing and we love you. Here's a trick, by the way. If you're wondering where the other players are, sometimes check for roads. So I'm gonna build a road between my territory here. And look at this little road going down south. I probably know exactly where you are and where you're coming from. Oh, there he is, see? I told you he was coming. Okay. He's nowhere near as strong as I am, though, right? Doesn't look like it. He's got some, like, trebuchets and stuff, but, like, meh? I mean, if I just sit here, I'm pretty sure we can beat him. Since you're all gathering up over here, let's shoot you. Pew, 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 pew. All right, that should do a fair bit. And then we run in and attack so that he can't continue doing anything that I don't like. More paragons? Sure, why not? What else could I use? I don't know if I even have a domestic advisor yet. Do I? Hang on. Yes, I do. I have a chief and a domestic advisor. So a foreign advisor could be worth a fair bit of extra science. Cultural advisor too? Let's go for the science. I think that's fine. I've got research agreements with everyone except for Persia. We're absolutely wrecking Persia's forces, by the way, and it's not even close. So we've got access to a lot of new goods. What would make sense for me to get? A loom would boost up a fair bit of like fabric and clothing production. Candles could be good for some knowledge in other residences. Gears are useful in a lot of places. Yeah, use a supply for many, many, many different things. Let's plan on crafting a bunch. And just at the cost of some wealth, we can actually produce them pretty quickly. It's not even that hard. That'll get slotted into a lot of things and will become very, very strong. Oh, Persia's coming in for another pass over here, huh? I don't think that's going to work out very well for you. Indirect fire! Pew pew! Indirect fire again! Pew pew! Run in there and get them! Why wait for them to come to me? It doesn't even make sense. I should just kill them all. Alright, the war hath come to an end automatically after 25 turns. They lost their city, they lost a force. We didn't manage to kill the other force in time. That's unfortunate. They did pillage a few things, though. Also annoying. Still, I accept this outcome. And I wasn't even fighting at my full strength. Now that I'm producing some royal seals, instead of having spearmen, I could get some royal sentinels. These guys are a little bit stronger. Getting closer and closer to the end here. Not much further to go. I'm only about 700 or so prestige left. A wonder or two wouldn't go amiss, I can tell you that. Another masterpiece created. All right, good. More chances for even more prestige. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. Nefertiti, how do you feel about that? I stole your book. How's our religion doing, by the way? We've got almost 100,000 followers. It's not a lot. Let's see if we can take a look at the religion overlay. So all of my cities have been converted. We could try to spread the religion down here in Tehran. Let's see, right now it's mostly an unstructured religion. Yeah, if we sent down some missionaries, there's a good chance we would be able to convert them. Is it worth getting some missionaries? I don't know. Oh wait, hey look, a religious verse. I checked at just the right time. Ooh, 10% build production in all cities. Research agreements get an extra 3. Does this stack with the 100% multiplier I've got? Because if so, that'd be amazing. I'm gonna take Uncommon Breakthrough. I've got, that'll be worth, a pretty decent amount of extra science. Another masterpiece? Oh, you guys are being so generous to me all of a sudden. Scholarship is done. I'm only 150 or so prestige away. If I could just get one more claim in my capital, this would be over. Just one more claim in my capital, man. I'd be able to place down a wonder and get it built in no time flat. But no, I'm one turn away from getting another claim. Where could I place it? Over here? It's kind of a terrible spot, to be honest. But okay, sure, we'll just do this right here. Oh, wait, there it is. Hang on. Okay, we actually managed to get something. I don't know what I did. I think maybe claiming that last little region was technically all I needed to get some more prestige through expansion. But as a result, the Assyrians have won the scenario. 10,014 prestige. 37 text research. Average prosperity was 66. Honestly, it would have been a lot better if my dang cities had grown. But yeah, as far as the prestige rankings, Egypt, I'm not surprised they did pretty well. They usually are very economically focused. If you do not pressure them militarily, they'll usually surpass you. But in this case, it wasn't even close. What did I overall get the most prestige from? Military stuff, yes. Various different events, defeating all the barbarians. Those things are what really cranked up my prestige. So I played pretty well to one of my strengths here. Government did pretty well. Quality of life was very high for a lot of my stuff. And then the rest was just kind of middling, prestige. But it turns out, yeah, if you're playing as a militaristic faction, getting a lot of prestige from military victories is huge. Very pleased with how that turned out, and again, there are many different scenarios you can pick from, ranging from historical events, or maybe just alternate history events, or just fun little challenges, like everyone being on their own tiny little island, or just China versus Rome, who can be the best? You get the idea. It's a very unique take on the 4X strategy world, and I really appreciate the innovation. The moral of the story can be broken up into the following bullet points. Production is always king, followed by growth. Play to the resources available to you, create powerful amenities, and let your quality of life soar. Do all of this, and surely you shall be victorious. Thank y'all for watching, hope you enjoyed. Thanks again also to Stardock for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to learn more, there will be a link in the description down below. Otherwise, I would ask you hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.